I'm Mordarski and I made my first $1,000 selling beats before turning 18. I will show you 12 things that improved arrangements of my beats and could also improve your arrangements. First, the most important lesson about arrangement is putting 80% of your effort into intro, okay? You need to have this in mind. If you make arrangement in, let's say, your last hook on your minute number 3 of your beat, okay? If you are improving outro of your beat, you are improving experience of something like 10%, 5% of overall rappers watching your beat, like listening to your beat, okay? And no matter if it's YouTube, if you're sending packs, if it's SoundCloud, it's Spotify, whatever. But that works for making beats, that works for making songs. You can put your effort into making proper outro, but you improve experience of really small fraction of people listening to your music, okay? So, you can improve experience of, let's say, 10% of people listening to your beat. Or you can improve experience of 100% of people listening to your beat if you work on your intro, okay? If beat has good intro, people will keep watching. So if you want to get more watch time on your beats, if you want to get more engagement, people listening to your beats, no matter on what platform, you need to have better intro, okay? You could have really good beat with shitty outro and most rappers would still buy that or at least will be interested. You can have the best fucking beat with bad intro and people will click off, nobody will listen to your beat, okay? So, bad outro can't kill your beat, bad intro can kill your beat. And furthermore, bad outro actually, maybe not, maybe the other way. The best outro in the world will not increase your sales, because if somebody went all the way out to the outro or to the 1 minute of the beat, 2 minutes of the beat, he already was interested. But good intro can make even average beat way more fucking pursued by rappers. If the intro is really good, some people will literally get this placebo effect of thinking that the beat that they are listening to is better, okay? So I want to make this first point the most important, is the first advice from me. That's the only advice that will be not shown by specific example in FL Studio or Ableton or something, because this is just about approach. You should put 80% of your time, of your arranging your beat time, into making proper intro, okay? So if you understand it, we can now go to really more specific lessons. Okay, so one of kind of slept on tricks for making your arrangement more interesting and I'm recording is generally moving some layer patterns to the right, not to left. It will be specifically better to right, okay? So for example, let's say that we want to make this hook more interesting, okay? So let's just focus on these two parts. We have this main kind of melody and this one shots, okay? First 8 bars, they are at the beginning of the bar. Now we want to make it more interesting, we are just moving it. Okay? You can play it as the whole thing, you will get. So this is really kind of subtle change. It works usually the best if you, for example, you have multiple hooks. You have first, second, third, maybe fourth hook, and you want to make your second hook more interesting. So instead of just doing it the same way and first and the second hook, in first hook you do this, in second hook you just move it to the right. 2 or 4 steps, it depends on it. For example, this BPM is too much to just go with 2 steps, okay? Yeah, here it's right there requires a little bit more. Yeah, here 4 steps is the sweet spot, so that's the first tip on it, okay? One of the most simple, best known, but also the most effective tactics for making your arrangement more interesting is generally changing octave of your main melody, okay? Maybe of some short progressions, whatever. Generally, main melody is probably the best for it, okay? So, What is an octave? Octave is 12 semitones, and now important kind of information from music theory. If you move any note 12 semitones, like semitone is this one specific particular move, 12 up, 12 down, no matter what, you will have the same note, okay? I'll just show you. We can, for example, you have E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, we still have E, and it goes for the same for every note, okay? So for example, in this beat, yeah, so we simply go to our piano roll of our main melody, and let's say that we only have this first 8 bars, we go like that, okay? We can just do, I don't know, we can click that with shift, and we can move it here, and now we click Control and up, okay? Control and up on our keyboard. This is this simple, but there are some cases that we can't actually use use piano roll. For example, we could use sample, or generally or our instrument doesn't let us change an octave, okay? So in this case, we're just doing it this way. For example, we just take our original melody simply, we can now export it, yep, and now we change resample to stretch. Resample will not work for us this time. We go for 12 and we go up, or we go down. And what I generally discovered is usually, if you can use both export and piano roll, I suggest use piano roll for going up in octave and use exporting to go down with octave, okay? It usually sounds better this way, okay? So now we can go to another advice. Reverse plus, okay, so reverse plus drop, which is like one of the most brain dead simple things that you could do in your arrangement, okay? We can check it, we can take a look at this bit, okay? We have our drop. Okay, so there are two particular important things. First, we have this sound before the drop, just some reverse FX, okay? You can go into Cobra Hip Hop sample pack, you can find just any reverse FX sound that you can find. You can just take some also crash sample, for example here for this crash, we could just take it here, okay, reverse it, and it will also work for us, okay? It sounds generally very similar, okay? Yeah, but important thing to make this kind of reverse FX really work, we want to put something, some hit at the beginning of the bar, okay? So usually for me it will be some reverse FX and also this cymbal, okay? It could be other sound of cymbal, okay? It just like let's take a look at just it. It just generally sounds really smooth. This is perfect thing for the drops, for intros, for all this kind of stuff, okay? Now, adding chord progression for the drop, okay? So let's take a look at this specific beat. Okay, so hook ended, and now we are going with the verse. Okay, it seems like it's kind of boring, but let's take a look at other part of the verse. Yeah, so simply, you need to know some music theory, but generally what I can suggest, I will go to some of my random beats and I will show you that this is really simple to do, okay? You don't even need to know music theory, I will literally show you what specific chord progression you should add to your thing to make something more interesting. In this specific beat, it may not sound so smooth because we have no mixing, no sound selection, but basically, you will see that this is not difficult to add this kind of drop, because when should you use this kind of thing in your arrangement? Before some drop, okay? If you feel that your verse sounds pretty boring, that you have some weak drop before your hook, you can use it as a bridge or just part of your verse. I usually like to use it as part of my verse, okay? So, yeah, my FL Studio is glitching really fucking hard, but let's give it a little second. Yeah, so let's take a look at this. Make it even more interesting, I can remove drums from the second half of it. Okay, so I do it like this. I would also remove this sound to give some space. Okay, and now I would simply I will do it with piano because honestly I don't have idea what kind of specific sound should I put here right now. So I will not act smart, but I will show you how to do this with kind of some melody, okay? So the key of this thing is D minor. So now the best progression is, we have this D minor thing, okay? And like, so you have bass note. So you make a minor chord with your bass note at first, okay? That's probably the best. If you want to make dramatic drop for your hook, this is the best fucking idea that I could give you, okay? First minor chord, then you go to this progression. So you will literally go like this, okay? Then you will go back, another one, like this. But this time you also add additional minor chord here, okay? So let's take a look now. Yeah, so even though there is no sound selection, there is no any crazy shit going on, I didn't even take a listen to this progression. Bear in mind, I didn't even listen to those charts. This is called 1-3-1-3-4 progression, we could call it, but honestly it doesn't fucking matter. You literally take the same fucking pattern and you start it with your bass note. So if you're in C minor, you go like this. If you're in, I don't know, F sharp minor, you go like this, okay? You just need to be in minor scale and you can literally copy this. So now, if you want to make really nice, really interesting intro for our beats, so now maybe let's go to one of my older beats. For example, this particular one. It performed kind of successfully on my new YouTube Type Beat channel. So let's take a look. I had this whole interesting intro, okay? This whole interesting thing here. But I thought that, yeah, I could make this more interesting. So I added this quote from Sopranos series.
I'm in a waste management business. Everybody immediately assumes you're mobbed up. It's a stereotype, and it's offensive.
So now, when do you use it? You use it for YouTube Type Beat channel, or maybe for some Instagram reels, maybe something like that. You don't put it for your fucking placement because your song from Spotify will be just not distributed, okay? So you simply are putting some quotes from movie, from other songs, maybe like, you know, movie, even some, you know, stuff that you find from YouTube, maybe some stuff from BBC, okay? Generally, something interesting, something well known, so people listening to your beat on YouTube or on Instagram will think, it sounds familiar, sounds interesting, I'm kind of invested, okay? Because now if you're a fan of Sopranos, you are way more likely to just stay in this beat, especially if the beat also sounds interesting. So you don't put it in the middle of the thing, you put it this way that you can actually then remove it for your Beastars version, and Rapper will not have problem with recording on it, okay? You don't want to put it here in the middle of the thing, okay? Definitely not, even though if it would sound proper here,
I'm in a waste management business.
I don't do this because now Rapper, if he records on this, he has fucking problem because he can't put it to Spotify, okay? So we don't want to make this problem. We put it at the beginning, so even if Rapper downloads this thing, he can just remove this fucking intro and he can be good, okay? So yeah, this is kind of, so yeah, usually the best from the movies, from other songs, maybe from some YouTube videos, generally whatever that you prefer, okay? Okay, so now low vocal loops, this is more difficult because I honestly don't have anything that I've done this way recently. I would need to go to my older beats, but generally the whole thing is that you have some beat and at the beginning you are taking some rap vocal and you're getting like a lower octave with that, but I would just have to find something this way because Yeah, I just can't remember when I used this specific technique last time. I would have to find, maybe I will show you, maybe I will edit to video later, but right now maybe let's keep going. So generally the idea is that you, for example, make some old school beat that would be proper for Ice Cube. So now you take your Ice Cube, some song kind of Why We Ducks, you make it 1 octave lower, okay? I explained what is an octave and how to do this earlier in the video. So you're just putting it 1 octave lower and you're putting it in the intro, okay? Maybe you can also put it in front of the drop. That generally you will generally hear it a lot in hip hop, okay? So you will definitely find it sooner or later. You probably know what I'm talking about, okay? So then filtered drum loops, it is also in this specific beat, okay? So I use it generally to make my drums more interesting. So maybe let's take a listen to my drums here. Okay, so these are drums without added filtered drum loop, but I found a specific thing on Cymatics. So let's take a look without it. Oh. Maybe just on the drums. Okay, choppy drums, but now, yeah, we have some additional bands, some stereo. Sounds way better, okay? But I also use it as the technique for making intro more interesting. So after this movie quote, I use this.
There's no mafia.
If you don't want to use, for example, this kind of drum loop from Cymatics or something like that, you can just take your drums from your beat, okay? You can just export it. You can export it. Give me a second. Okay, so you can do it. You can do it the other way. So you export it, drums. No. Okay. Okay. Now you take this specific file, you drop it here. Stay with me now. Important part of this thing. Okay, like that. And now maybe let's assume that we don't use this. Okay, now for some channel, and we want to just filter it. Okay, so just send it to 16. Let's do some filtering. Generally, the good idea in this case is also adding some reverb on it, okay? So let's... Maybe let's do it this way, for example. So we have this intro and now... You can also, instead of just doing it manually, you can just use this specific plugin, Soundly Place It, and here is this like beautiful preset, Neighbors Radio, okay? So, and now it goes like this.
There's no mafia.
But you need to decrease this wall. Yeah. You can also use it for a bridge, for your verse, okay? But I like using this kind of filtered drum loops in the intro. It usually sounds the best, okay? So now, changing sound of your bass, another like really powerful technique, okay? So, for example, I will have to change a beat to explain this one. Okay, so changing your bass sound. So, for example, we have this really simple beat, which is just really simple sample chop and some like trap drums, okay? So I had this situation and my hook is ending. Let's take a listen. Now I could use I had multiple ways. I could go with lower octave, but actually I wanted to stay with the sound of the sample. I didn't want to change my drums this bad. I thought that these drums will sound proper on the verse. I can't also put the same 808 because in this case it's the same drums, the same bass, we have the same thing. So I thought that at first I will change pattern of my bass and I will change the sound of my bass. So let's take a listen now. Yeah, so simply I just I just changed this 808 bass to this typical classical, you know, instrumental bass, and I also changed the pattern for it to make it a lot more challenging. And sometimes we're treating our bass as this thing that just has to be there in the low end, we're just playing it like randomly, okay, we're just pushing those fucking cymatics 808. But in this case, you just need to think that your bass is really important fucking instrument. You just need to think about it, you need to take advantage of that. So, but I will also show you another example of using your another bass in smart way, but I will just need to find another beat, okay? Yeah. Yeah, so let's take a look at this beat, for example. This another part of the hook. Classical 808. So now, for the verse, the only change was, yeah, removing 808 and putting this crazy fucking bass. Yeah, so you can like do it on million ways. Sometimes you don't even need to change the pattern, you can stay with the pattern, but you just, instead of just like, you know, let's say subtle 808, just go for this more like, you know, this futuristic, you know, cyberpunk type of sound, okay? As you know, automatations, I'm not really using a lot of that these days. I don't think that this is like, I don't really like it these days. Like I used to really abuse this specific technique. So I will show it on example of one of my older beats right now. I think this is kind of too basic. Right now I'm aiming for more interesting things than just automating, just, you know, filter automating. But okay, I will show you something. I will try to do that. Okay, so even though all of you know what automation actually is, I will anyway like give you a quick example, because there could be this one guy that doesn't know about automations. Okay, so generally the whole idea is that you're here. For example, you have this intro basic melody. Okay, let's assume it doesn't exist. So for example, we want to automate this melody. We want to make this ongoing underwater effect. Okay, so we go to the mixer channel. Okay, let's remove it too, and we'll add filter. Okay, then for example, we want to modify this underwater effect, so we'll make it like this. Okay, and we want to make right click, create automation clip. We have this new automation clip in our playlist, and now we can go, let's say, like this. Okay, so it's, yeah, and we move like this, okay, great. Now it's automation is only on this main melody. I could also use it on this, but actually it sounds better this way. So well, actually, beat sounds better than I remembered, so actually good for fucking me, okay? And okay, now scratches. So that's usually technique for my new beats. I abuse it a lot because it kind of works in my current niche, okay? So let's take a look at it. Scratches, simply what scratches means, okay? It's simple as fuck, okay? Basically, we're just using those effects of kind of glitching the beat. So let's say it's like, no, instead of just dropping boom, it just goes boom, 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 boom. Like, this explanation is kind of stupid, but I will just show you by an example, okay? So for example, instead of in this case, I didn't create intro, it just goes like this. Okay? But generally, I love using this effect. For example, in kind of second hook, in the hook, like generally in further parts of the beat, because then actually I can play around a little bit more. It's always interesting to add something like that. So for example, we have this hook, it's ending, I cut it right here, okay, it will be kind of drop of the verse, okay. So we take it, we click shift and the mouse, boom, boom. Let's take a listen to the whole thing. I think that you get, so it is really like you can use it in every kind of beat. This is very like overly abused technique for making like arrangement of your beats, but this is like it just really fucking works. It sounds good, so we just use it. And if you're in trap, you're in this double tempo, you just use it for every beat, okay, to achieve this specific sound effect, okay. And now the last thing that I would like to share with you today is actually lowering the pitch of your hi-hat. So just give me a second, because it was in one of my previous beats that I showed today. Yeah, so we have this. Yeah, so the hook ends. Let's take a look at this hi-hat, okay? Maybe let's take a look only at the melody and the hi-hat in this case. Okay. So this is the hook, and then when we go to the verse, yeah, and now on the hi-hat maybe. Yeah, now you can notice that pitch changed a little bit. So I usually use it when I don't have a single fucking idea what could I do in my verse, but I just need to do something to make it a little more interesting. So in this case, I just go to piano. Like usually, you will just do this. I have this pattern in my hook, so I clone it. I put it in here in the verse. I will change pattern a little bit. For example, just to 2 steps and a little drop at the end. I will just click Ctrl A, and I will move it like, and now Shift 1, 2, or 3 semitones down, okay? It's like, you just do it in like 5 seconds, and your verse and hook and your beat generally becomes way more interesting, literally. So that's kind of my whole thing for today. If you want to get more kind of tips on making your beats more interesting, so better mixing, better melodies, better arrangement, better mastering, and also selling your beats, you can go into first link in the description. This is my paid product. This is our kind of paid community, so you can find more like-minded producers just like you in there. You can also find their 10-hour selling beats course from me, and soon I will also add some courses on mixing, mastering, melodies, chord progressions, music theory, generally every fucking aspect of being proper producer. And the other thing, I also will try to upload some exclusive content every week besides those courses, and also I run those weekly meetings with you guys when I just go on video like right now, and I try to answer all your questions. I am asking about your weekly achievements and stuff like that. So yeah, if you want to invest in your producing journey, if you want to start making money from that, just go into first link in the description. That's all for today. Bye.